Good morning everyone, again, my name is David Talavera and I'm here to develop the part for English primary school teachers. We have got a problem from my point of view, which is how to pass to the next phase, to the next exams. First, we have to get an average mark of 50% of both exams, part A and part B, the theory and the practical cases. And for that, we need to follow some strategies which I'm going to try to develop afterwards, right away, okay? In our board of examinators, we were 93 people. 93 people, that's a lot of people. And only 30 people passed. 30 people out of 93 passed. The rest, 63 people, were out of the process. Every person who passes the next phase, which is number 2, about the defense of the programming and the exposition of a didactic unit that you have programmed, every person who passes will be heard, will be listened by the board of examinators for 1 whole hour, 60 minutes. For that reason, they have got a limit of time to finish those state exams, and obviously they cannot pass 50 people because they wouldn't have time for that. This is because of the administration's directions. I'm going to focus on people who have to read their exams aloud, as they do in the Valencian community. How can we stand out while sitting on a chair reading aloud our exams? That is a question that I have been wondering for the last 4 years of my life. And I'm going to explain to you my conclusions, also adapted to the rest of the state exams. Well, first of all, let me tell you how crucial your English level is to get a good mark in the state exams. You're going to be a role model for your students in every sense. The examinators are aware of this, they know this, of course, and they are going to take into consideration your English level. Children will copy every single detail of your pronunciation and grammar knowledge. For that reason, from my point of view, making 5 important pronunciation or grammar mistakes is enough to fail, especially in the first exams, which are written. You know that this language is not as spontaneous as the spoken one, and this extra time that you have to think should be enough to avoid making these mistakes. Moreover, notice that there are usually a lot of people to compete with in this sense, and they will select the ones with few mistakes. To sum up, your English language should be excellent. Take up English speaking lessons, watch films or series every day or every 2 days, read articles, watch TED Talks, which I explained in the previous videos. Examine your pronunciation in detail, etc. These are some pieces of advice that I would like to give you. If you have got any doubts, you can solve them on the internet. For instance, there are also language exchange sessions that you can find on the internet in your zone. Do whatever you can to improve your English level as much as you can, because that is going to play an essential role in your state exams. I'm going to give you some clues on what type of language you can use to enrich your reading. After that, we will carry on with some techniques to stand out while reading aloud. Now, I'm going to start with this. For example, you can say, instead of to take into account, I'm going to take into account. You can change that from time to time, saying take into consideration. I'm going to take into consideration not only this, but also that and that and that. You can also say, bear in mind. I'm going to bear in mind. We need to bear in mind. Remember, do not say beer. Beer is what you drink. You cannot bear in mind. You have to bear in mind, okay? Bear, like the bear, like the animal. Now, in order to express your opinion, sometimes you need to do that. Instead of saying, I think that, you can say, I believe that, or it is my belief, with a final F, it's a noun, it is my belief that, or you can also say to strengthen that thought, you can say, it is my firm belief that children can also learn from one another, for example. You can also say, for example, for a conclusion, I used to say this sentence, it cannot be denied that, and then you continue the sentence. You can also say, instead of saying, I think that, you can say, I am of the view that, okay, because you've got that perspective of life, perspective on life, and you express that with that formal sentence. Now, in order to graduate the way you speak, how much strength you give to a certain noun or adjective, you can say, as you know, very, oh, that's very good. Remember with the upper teeth and lower lip, very good, okay? But you can also say absolutely. That's absolutely important in my programming. You can also say definitely, but like really quickly, definitely. That's definitely important in my programming. This is a bit more difficult to say. If you can say it, do so. If you can't, because it's a bit difficult and challenging, change it for absolutely, but try to avoid using very, very often, okay? Totally. That's totally perfect for me. Thank you very much. Really, you can say really. You can say quite, okay? But try to avoid very, because that's very typical. You can use it, of course you can. But these are ways to avoid repeating yourself. Now, another strategy that we can use is nodding. We can nod our head while we are explaining an idea to the board of examinators, because we want to make it as clear as possible. So while we are explaining, I am nodding my head, and the board of examinators sometimes will also nod to see that you are connecting with each other, and that's perfect. You are establishing communication in a perfect way that way. Okay? Now, eye contact is also essential. Every 2 or 3 sentences at tops, at most, you should do this eye contact. Right now, I have got, to be honest, I have prepared here lots of pages. I don't know if you realized, a lot of pages with everything prepared. These are not the sentences themselves here that I am telling you about. These are like simple items that I see and I remember what idea to talk about next. But in the real exam, it will be like that. You will have the whole sentences that you will have to read, and you cannot say something that is not in here. That's very important. If you get caught, they can take your exam and expel you, like out, finished. You know what I mean? Okay. Then, eye contact, essential. Hand signals. Moreover, furthermore, however, for example, first, second, I will develop this a little bit deeper right now, okay? For example, facial expressions we can also use to strengthen the message. And now, you need to avoid using the word important very often, because this is one of the most used words in the state exams. It's very important, I have to bear in mind, I have to take into account, blah, 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 the same thing. So you can say essential, you can say vital, you can say crucial, you see? Essential, vital, crucial. Some people say crucial, don't say crucial, say what? Crucial, well done, and vital, okay? Now, you can say, for example, English plays a vital role in our society. Attention to diversity is crucial in our daily lessons. And then your message is strengthened. In order to conclude, you can say, in conclusion, to conclude, to sum up, I cannot finish without mentioning the bibliography and legal framework I have used for the development of this unit. This is a sentence that I used to use in the past. But now I don't have to anymore because I've got the place, and you have to get it too. Because it's really, you know what I mean. In a nutshell, okay, this I have to explain a little bit. In a nutshell is something very, very tiny. And you are, when you are explaining something which is very, very long, you say, okay, in a nutshell, like in 5 or 6 words, in a simple sentence, I'm going to explain to you everything I have been giving you details about, okay? Like smoking, blah, 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 lots of consequences, and then you finish and you say, in a nutshell, smoking is unhealthy. Don't do it, okay? But you have to take into consideration the following fact. Sometimes, I don't know if you knew about the expression in a nutshell, and the usage of this sentence, you need to bear in mind the following thing. Depending on the board of examinators you've got, depending on the people you've got in front of you, you need to know if their English level is very, very good. If you've got a native person, you can make sure, of course, by using this sentence that you will be understood. But if you realize that their English level is not that good, maybe you should not use this one because you're not going to be understood. And your main objective is to be understood every time you speak. Then don't use it if you're not sure you're going to be understood. But from time to time, I like using at least 1 or 2 just in case someone understands and that person will think that I've got a good English level and I want to get that, but not many times. For example, when I explained this in the previous video, but when I spoke about antlers, which are the horns of reindeers, I did this. The reindeer antlers, just in case they didn't understand, you can add some miming by saying in a nutshell. Then they will understand that you are explaining like a summary. Then you can also say, from my point of view, remember you, E of yogurt, in Spanish yaya, yogurt. You can say view, like the news. It's not the news, it's the news. Because if you take out phonetics, you will realize that there is no such diphthong as ew. Ew does not exist. It's J, which is consonantic E, and then the long U with the 2 dots. So it's you. Just like the pronoun, the personal pronoun, you, come here, you, new, view, views. Okay? So from my point of view, let me see how you do it, please. From my point of view, repeat. Very good. You can also say, in my view, to give some variety to your speech. Then, in order to contrast 2 ideas, you can say, on the one hand, blah, 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 and when you finish, on the other hand, blah, 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 or using both hands, on the one hand, and when you finish, on the other hand, and your idea will be explained in a much better way. It will be for sure understood this way, with miming, with hand gestures. Now, next is, in order to add information, don't say always besides. Change variety, please. Add some variety. You can say besides, you can say moreover, furthermore, with the final stress at the end. Furthermore, you can also say, apart from that, what is more, or what's more, but I always recommend to use the whole words without contractions because it gives you more formality. Then you say, what is more, or plus, this is a bit more informal, but just for you to know. Then in order to contrast the information, you can say, however, but you can also change however for two different ones, which are nevertheless, and you can also change 5 minutes later, nonetheless, okay? However, nevertheless, nonetheless. Next, concessive clauses. In one clause, you say something positive, but you're going to criticize it right away in the second clause. Those are concessive, using although. Although I like you, you're not going to pass this exam, okay? And you can also use, instead of although, something that is more emphatic, which is even though I really like you, you're not going to pass this exam, I'm so sorry. So, although and even though. Now, in order to give examples, to exemplify, you can use for example, and you can also use for instance, for instance, and then give examples. It's a synonym of for example. And remember, example is not example. It's of Lady Gaga, ga, for for example. Okay? When you take an exam, you don't take an exam. You take an exam with a final stress. For an exam. For example, for instance. Then, when you are doing something related to course, you say, I like watching films, so I go to the cinema every day. You use so. In the exams, I recommend, well, I think you should use therefore. You stop, like, I like watching films. Stop. Breathe a little bit, and you say, therefore, I go to the cinema every day with my friends. Okay? Therefore, that's very formal. And you can use another one for these very formal exams, that is thus. Thus. Thus, I go to the cinema every day. This is very formal and very recommended by me. Now, next we've got due to the rain, this is to give you variety, because some people always use the same structure of subject, verb, and then a complement with a predicate, like in a simple way. And this helps you to use different strategies to give the Board of Examinators the feeling that you can use a wider variety of vocabulary and grammar structures. Then, due to the rain, I couldn't go to the party. Due to I couldn't, for instance. And you can change due to for owing to. Owing to the rain, I couldn't go to the party. Owing to, to give you, variety. Then, positive words which could be used in your exam are the following ones. Awesome, you know about that. Awesome, oh, that's awesome. Outstanding, they had an outstanding performance in class. Outstanding, that's very emphatic. You are expressing a lot with that word. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. I love that. Then you can say brilliant. That is brilliant, well thought. Then fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Oh, that's fabulous. Then excellent, great, fantastic, fantastic. You can say it in a way which sounds Spanish, like fantastic, that's fantastic. Or you can give it a little bit more of strength and emphasis and say, oh, that's fantastic, great. Then also amazing. And now for the negative words, I've got 4, which are terrible, awful, horrible, and outrageous. Outrageous, that is completely outrageous. I don't know how you can stand that. I can't stand it. Outrageous. It's a very, very negative way of expressing an idea. I like. To say something that you like, to express likes and dislikes, you can do that in several ways. Not only I like, I don't like. You can say different structures. I like, I love, I adore. I always do. I like, I love, I adore. This is difficult. It's very Latin, easy to remember. I don't like, I dislike, I hate, I detest, I loathe. Okay? Detest, loathe. I am keen on doing something. I am keen on going to the cinema with my friends. I like doing that. I am fond of collecting spiders, the same meaning. I am into football. I like football. I'm into football. I'm into you. I like you. There's a song by Jennifer Lopez, I think. I'm not sure. Called I'm into you. I'm not going to sing right now, but it's called I'm into you, and it's nice. I enjoy, and then you can do something that is called inversions. Very, very important. When you start studying for the advanced level of Cambridge or for the proficiency level of Cambridge, you will learn about inversions. We invert, we change the order of the sentences in a way that is correct and gives you a lot of formality. A lot of politicians do that, inversions. And I've got some examples here to explain to you. For instance, if it hadn't been for, and that means, hadn't it been for my mother, and it means, okay, no, the inversion is, hadn't it been for my mother, I wouldn't be a teacher right now. Because I didn't want to study to become a teacher. She wanted me to, she insisted, and if it hadn't been for my mother, this is the normal way, and the inversion is hadn't it been for my mother. Again, here, bear in mind whether the Board of Examinators has a good level of English or not. You can also say, not only can a person be intuitive, but also creative at the same time. Not only can a person be intuitive, but also creative at the same time. Another inversion. I will go. Now, to express condition again with more emphasis, you can say on condition that. I will go by plane on condition that you pay for my ticket. Cheeky, yeah, cheeky. I am looking for. Okay. Not about that. Okay, if you make a mistake in the exposition, not while you are reading, but in the exposition, in the second part, defense of the programming, explanation of the didactic unit you have chosen, you can say, well, let me rephrase that. And you breathe, think about it, and continue. And you carry on with the exposition of the didactic unit or the defense. Okay? Well, let me rephrase that. Something that I would like to tell you about also is the treatment of mistakes while you are reading. For example, if you are reading and you make a single mistake of pronunciation, like it's not a big mistake, carry on, don't stop, because then maybe they are not listening and you can carry on your reading and they don't realize. But, for example, if you say a big mistake, which could be pronouncing message instead of message, you can say, okay, sorry, message and self-correct. That is positive for you. But you can do that a couple of times in the whole reading of 20 minutes. A couple of times, at tops 3, at most 3, if they are big mistakes. Because do you really think that Board of Examinators is going to give you a good mark if they listen to 3 or 4 big mistakes of yours? And they realize, of course not. And that's crucial. Then, thank you. These are different ways of saying thank you, of showing appreciation. You can say, when you finish your reading, there are like lots of them, but I will read 5 or 4 options. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to my reading. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much for having paid attention to me. Thank you very much for being so attentive to my exposition. Thank you so much for having listened to me so carefully. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your careful attention, or the one I used at the end of my practical case. Thank you very much indeed for such careful attention. You can do that with your hand and nod your head to show appreciation, also with non-verbal communication. Now, okay. Okay, now we're going to move on with some techniques to stand out while reading aloud, some more. So, when you stand, okay, let me show you. This is the table in which I'm going to read. These are my sheets, my pieces of paper. So, when I enter the room that way, what I did is the following thing. I came across here in front of the table. The board of examinators is right there, so I stood in front of this, upright, and I said, "Good morning everyone," with my hand and nodding my head as I explained before. Then I crossed this way and sat in here. This has to do with non-verbal communication. You could be thinking, this boy is stupid, this man is a little bit stupid, but I believe that tiny details are crucial in these things. Also, you have to do a good job in here, but I did this to show that I could handle the situation and I was comfortable with the class and I could move around it and there was no problem about that. So I came in here. Maybe everyone did the same thing, but it's a way of trying to stand out in some way. Then everyone came here, sat down. Can I open the envelope? Yes, okay, I'm going to start reading. This is what everyone did, but I tried to do that, thinking at home to do something different, which could let me stand out a little bit. Then, what is next? I'm sorry, one moment. Yeah, you can say that, good morning or hello, good afternoon. Don't say good morning if it's not good morning. After 12, you know that, 12 is noon, at noon, then in the afternoon, next, good afternoon. If it's 1 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon, don't say good morning, please. That's a big mistake. Bear that in mind. And they already know your name. When you sit down, they know your name. They have taken a look at your ID and they know that you are David. Don't say, hello, good morning, my name is David and I'm here to read. I wouldn't say that. I would say, hello, good morning, and then you continue, you start reading right away. And in order to open the envelope, I like using the sentence, may I, to show formality, not can I. May I open the envelope? Again, trying to take advantage of something that I think I could take. Okay, let me rephrase that. I would like to take advantage of my pronunciation. If I can say envelope, I'm not going to say envelope with B. You have to say it with V. And as I am good at that, at pronunciation, I think, then I take advantage of that. I play with my cards. The cards you've got, you have to use the best of them. Then I use that card there and I say, can I open the envelope? So they take a look at my pronunciation. It's a lot of information, I know, but little by little, you can repeat the video, you can play it again if you wish. Now, you say thank you after they say, yes, of course you can. Okay, thank you. And also, you can smile a little bit. Remember that's one of the main rules, smile while reading, at least 3 or 4 times to show that you are okay with that stressful situation for everyone, but you are more prepared and you can do it, smile, to feel natural. It is necessary to show that you can control the situation in a relaxed, calm way. Now, smile also when you talk about a very humane situation. For example, when we read the next piece, we can smile. Let's go. Making our students laugh from time to time is a sign of understanding. I always say that humor and fun are the best glue for children's memory. And you say that in a smiley way. Okay? Then, eye contact every 2 or 3 sentences at most. Then we have to have an objective, which is to establish a direct personal connection between board of examinators and myself, and me. Sorry. Facial expressions that we can use with specific examples. Happiness when we smile. We show happiness with facial expressions when we smile, as I explained before. Anger, frowning, when you are so convinced that you want to send a message in a very clear and direct way. For example, attention. Let's see how I frown, so you can do it too. When a child called Paco is distracted and is not listening to us, should we shout at him and make him feel more anxious and stressed out? Of course not. Maybe he's not listening because we are not making enough eye contact. You see how I frown? Then you send the message much better from my point of view. Next, disapproval. And then stressing the correct way. You disapprove at first and then you stress the correct way. For instance, although you see with my face like I'm not really believing what I'm doing right now, but then I will tell you the right way in a very serious manner. Then, although some teachers may believe that the best way to get a child called Alex, for example, to sit down properly is by telling him to do so in a direct and negative way, I am of the view that we can get the same result using positive reinforcement. You see how we do that? We stress the second idea, what we are not going to do with our students and what we are going to do. That's very relevant in here. We only have to congratulate someone who is sitting down properly for doing so. And I am completely sure that everyone in the class will do the same and there is no need to create harsh, unpleasant feelings. This is how the sentence is continuing here. Now, let me tell you how you could use your hands to reinforce your messages while reading aloud. Do not move your legs. 1 and 2, don't move them. Leave them there. Get used to having them there, that way, and don't move them. Don't cross them either. Then, leave your left hand still. Here, it doesn't move, unless you want to do something with both hands. It's here. With your thumb, you mark where you are, and little by little, you move it slightly, and mark where you are, so you don't get lost while you are reading. Okay. Use your hand to know where you are reading, using your thumb to mark it, as I said. At first, it may look difficult, but little by little, you will get used to it. If you work on it, if you don't work on it, it's going to be difficult anyway. Use your right hand to reinforce your message. For example, besides, moreover, apart from that, furthermore, you doing this, you can do however, or nevertheless, or nonetheless. You can make up some new gestures. You don't have to use mine. It's not necessary. You can use mine or different ones. There's no problem. Then you can also open your hands to say, therefore, thus, as a consequence, for this reason, in this way, likewise, I used, in my practical case, I used the connector, the linker, likewise. I like doing that because when I did, I stared at them and I saw their faces like, oh, nice connector, nice linker. And I control that. I can control that while I am writing my practical cases or my theory exam. In order to stress an idea, you can join your fingers this way and say that idea aloud. For example, let me see. I've got here an example. Our pupils need lots of positive reinforcement. It is one of the best tools we have as teachers to reinforce certain behavior. We can also use these hand signals to say, okay, the example is finished, but you can do this, bam. Or you can say a sentence that I love in English, which is, I'm going to dive into the topic of motivation. You can say, right now, I'm going to dive into the topic of motivation. Then, you can also use these hand signals to say, okay, this is the same idea, I'm sorry. I'm going to dive into the topic of motivation. To show concision, we can have one hand on the left for the first clause and move it to the right for the second clause. For instance, with although or even though, you can say, although we should use information and communication technologies, we should have everything planned while using them. And you are sending them your idea in a much more communicative way. The chances for them understanding your idea, they rise directly if you use those non-communication skills. Now, in order to number your ideas that you are explaining, you can do the basics by using your fingers, firstly, secondly, thirdly, or you can just place your hand here to say the first idea, here to say the second idea, or first of all, secondly, on here to say the third idea. You can also do it this way, the first, and then the second, the third, the fourth, okay? For example, if the sentence is not very long, you can say, firstly, second of all, and when you are speaking and you are reading, you don't move your hand, then you are standing out, you are doing something that not everyone does. Thirdly, and to sum up, and we continue with this, you have to become a real politician. Look at them. Look into the way they move, they use their hand gestures, facial expressions, body movements, whether they move a lot, whether they don't move a lot. Investigate about that. Now, when you are saying the conclusion, to send the message directly to them, raise your hands and say, I would like to conclude. You can do that. Politicians do that. Don't abuse, don't do that too much, but a little bit, you can do it. I would like to conclude, and I'm going to take the freedom to claim what Nelson Mandela said in 1994 about our work. Education is the great engine of... In here I'm going to try to use several ways of using my hands, my voice in different ways to transmit the information properly. So you see, I would like to conclude, and I'm going to take the freedom to quote what Nelson Mandela said in 1994 about our work. Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that the child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. Therefore, we need to try to be, first of all, coherent teachers, then firm and accessible teachers, but most of all, human teachers. This is the conclusion I used in the exposition of the didactic unit. My last words were this. Use your voice wisely. Think about that. Project your voice to the board of examinators, directly to them. If you write without using contractions, your message can be understood in an easier way, and you give more formality and strength to the message. For example, and this piece doesn't make much sense, but it is just to show you how it sounds, with contractions or without contractions. So, we do not know about the possible consequences. Therefore, we should not use this methodology. And neither should your brother. That's an inversion. And neither should your brother. He is not a very good teacher, and I really believe that he does not deserve to have such responsibility to take on. Using separately, you give more strength to the not when you are using. Not I've got, but I have got. More formality. How can you get to sound more native? And this is the following part of the video. Sounding native and not like in Spanish, like you are speaking Spanish. I'm sorry. You can do that with pronunciation. So we'll start with the sound V. With the sound V, you can say the very good. You can say 7. For example, the word of, it's not off with an F, it's with in phonetics. If you look it up, it's of, O and V, not O, swa and of. So 7 of each 70 people record videos. Here you use several V. 7 of each 70 people record videos. Can you please repeat that sentence? 7 of each 70 people record videos. Come on, say it. Okay, good. 7 of each 70 people record videos. They have to listen to your vibration. They have to listen to that. 7. Don't be afraid of saying it aloud. 7, 70. Very good. Videos of. They have to listen to that vibration. Vibration. Another one. The swap. This little, very short length sound, which is called swap. The lemon. The orange. This word is essential in English. The. Before the consonant, you say the, but before the vowel, you say the. So it is the lemon, the orange. You place your tongue here and then make it vibrate. Again, it's not like theta, 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 th, because that's very hard. You have to say it softly and letting the flow of air move through your tongue and teeth, upper teeth. Please try that. The lemon, the orange. The lemon, the orange. Please repeat. The lemon, the orange. And again, they have to listen to that vibration. It is. Imagine that you are in September and you still have a lot of months to practice that and to get to do that well. If it's difficult for you, okay, work on that, no problem. You've got a lot of time. But you need to be aware that you are making that pronunciation mistake if you don't do it well. Once you are aware, you can tackle that and improve it. Of course you can. You can. You also can. You also can. Everyone can. Obama says it. Yes, we can. Good. Now, you can also use this sound, let me rephrase. The short sound in lemon, mun, it's a very short sound. And you say lemon, you say apart, you don't say apart, you say apart, lemon, between and there's a single sound, a very, very, very short sound, which is called swap. So you say lemon. And when you're speaking English, you don't say the lemon, you say the lemon. And you don't say important, you say important, between T and N, important. That's very important. And you get used to saying important and not important. You say Charles Dickens, and between K and N, there is a short sound, which is not A, E, I, O, U. It's so different. It's Dickens. You don't say Dickens, Charles Dickens. You say Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens. Good? Now, the lemon, the orange, the mother, again, mother. Can you listen to my vibration? The brother, again, brother. Hey, brother. Then you've got, again, you see, then with this vibration, study that sound. It will make you feel and speak in a more English native way. Then the sound Z. The sound Z in eyes, my eyes. If you say my eyes is the frozen water, it's called ice or ice cubes. But if you say my eyes, Z, 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 vibrating again, vibrating, eyes. This is my nose or my nose? This is my nose with this sound. Nose. And if you say that to children, they will learn how to say nose and not nose. That's why it is so important. Then, next is eyes, nose, lazy. Oof, I'm very tired. I feel lazy. Lazy in the middle of the word. Then, the first S in the word followed by a consonant. Spider. Special. That is very special. Very not a special, but special. If you make that mistake, please correct it in time before the test. So when you finally get to read, there is a special snake over there. Can you see the special snake? Pronounce it correctly. Then, for example, when you say one list for him and two lists for her, you say lists for her, lists. If it's plural, if it's a plural word, you need to use the other S, even though it is ended with a T, then say the S sound. You cannot say one list for him, two lists for her. You say one list for him, two lists for her. You see? Two lists for her. Lists, lists, lists. Practice that as well. And that is very detailed. In time you will get it, I'm sure. But maybe you already have it, so perfect, congratulations. Then the diphthong O, it's not O. In Spanish we say O, but in English you know that we do not say no. No, don't go. No, we say no, don't go. Oh, oh. It's more similar to an E rather than an E rather than an O. It's not no, it's no, but like with this flow, you know. No, I don't know. So you can say no, home, I'm going home. You should not say I am going home. You say I'm going home. You see? I need to take my phone. My phone? Nope, that's Spanish. In English we say phone. Good. Oh, I like that poster. Poster. And it's important to understand the process, which is teaching, learning. The process of teaching and learning a foreign language. Process. Some people say process, but it's not process. It's process. If you look up phonetics, you will see that it's process. Little by little, with these tiny details, you get with this type of pronunciation. Then, the diphthong I. For example, to say, what time is it? You don't say what time. Time, the T, you know, it's plosive. What time? I don't open that much your mouth. Keep it closed, and you say this is the in the diphthong I. So you say, what time is it? To sound more, you know, native. So what time is it? Or what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? It's a matter of practice. You practice a lot and you get it. Good. Plosive consonants. The ones that explode because they are very explosive. They are plosive. We've got petaca, bodega. For example, you say, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. Or you say, I don't want to go to school. Like, pam, 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 pam. Like, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. Repeat. I don't want to go to school. Well done. Plosive. Remember, you cannot say go. You have to say go. I don't want to go. This way you sound more like them. Then, the final ending, shin. Is it motivation? Shon? Nope. It's this between sh and n. There's this very short sound. It's not a, e, I, o, u. It's shin. Motivation is essential. Motivation is essential. Innovation or innovation? Innovation. Motivation. Okay? Good. Now, once I finished Now I'm going to mention some words which are related to education. We've got education is the first one, and it's not education but education. The sound that you use when you say jam, when you've got, for example, strawberry jam or peach jam, it's the sound j, and you should say education, educative, and you can also say educative, depending on the accent, both accepted. Then you can also say pupils, not pupils, but pupils. It's just like people, pull, but instead of saying p, you say pu, so it's pupils, pupils. Can you please repeat education and pupils? Then we've got students, teachers, foreign language, mother tongue, mother tongue, worksheet. Do not say worksheet because that's something different and disgusting at the same time. Worksheet, flashcard, word card, word, one word, two words. Don't say please word, say word, like world. Poster, it's a poster. Oh, I like that poster. Sentences, one sentence, two sentences. Utterances, utterances. When a baby is in the babbling stage, they produce utterances which are difficult to understand. They are utterances. The teacher's role, then a wall chart, homework, introduction, justification, context, objectives, not objectives but objectives, contents, key competencies, one key competence, two key competencies, competencies. Then we've got didactic or didactic units, both accepted depending on the accent you are using. After that we've got the methodology, evaluation, and this is important, evaluation, it's a bit difficult. Then attention to diversity, attention to diversity. Compensatory education, transversal elements, transversal elements. Process, it's the process, teaching, learning process. Conclusion, some people say conclusion, please do not say conclusion, say conclusion. Exams, exams. Tests, one test, two tests, with the final S for the plural form. After that, reinforcement activities. Then we've got adapted activities or the adapted exam that you can also prepare. Extension activities for fast finishers. And then the verb create, to create, and the noun creativity. Some people say creativity, no, creativity. Then we've got computer, and this is something I would like to tell you about. If you start saying computer using the British accent, computer, you have to stick with it for the rest of your speech with the British accent. You cannot say computer and 10 seconds later say 20. You can say computer and 20 if you like for the American accent, but you have to stick with one. You cannot speak the Andalusia's version of Spanish and suddenly the Madrid's one. You cannot mix them all. Both are correct. For the exposition, you just have to stand up and do not move from your chest to your toes. Those are still. Some people have got the problem that they are very, very nervous and they can't help but to move. They can't avoid moving a lot. because of their nerves. That's why I always recommend to have this part of the body still, without moving at all. After that, they can manage a little bit of walking. So if you don't move this part and your arms are like this, they are fallen down, you don't move that part, and what you are getting this way is that you don't get nervous because of this. You can move, you can walk a little bit, and when you are speaking you can raise a little bit your arms and you can reinforce your message through your movements. Okay? Now, you can also use the techniques that I have just mentioned for reading aloud and standing out when doing so, for the exposition of the defense of the didactic unit, and also when you're explaining the defense of your programming. Those are applicable for both. Now, it is time for you to investigate about this. Record yourself lots of times. Check out if you like yourself and apply whatever changes you consider that you need to improve your verbal and non-verbal communication skills. I hope you take advantage of these tools, and please, if you consider that someone else can benefit from them too, share this video. Share this video with the people you think might take advantage of this one. Okay? Thank you very much indeed for such careful attention, and I hope you gather the strength you need to take the state exams and to get the place for once and for all. Have a nice day. Bye bye.